He's the freaking boss. Hello. Russo'sBrand.com, where the pros are the pros.
Well, Toni Storm has returned to AEW, and she is not doing the timeless gimmick right now. She went back to her old gimmick, and it was kind of like a surprise return at the end of a recent Dynamite.
Yeah, so she's back with a totally new character that has amnesia, and the old character of the past she doesn't recognize anymore.
Yeah, she's doing the gimmick she did in WWE. She came back on the Dynamite, was like a surprise, and then Tony Khan had her wrestle on Rampage for her first match back. According to Brian Alvarez, who says he's talked to a lot of people in AEW, everybody in AEW that he spoke to was appalled that they put her return match on the lame duck Rampage that nobody watches. Many personnel.
I don't mean to interrupt, but couple things. I love it when talent, because they used to do the same thing with Sunday Night Heat, and it was considered the secondary show. It's like, wait a minute, it's a television show. Yeah. You're on the air. Yeah. It's just as important and prominent as Raw is. You get television time, and if nobody's watching it, maybe it's because the talent that are being put on it aren't drawing the ratings.
Right. Yep.
How is that the fault of the show when it's the fault of the talent that are on the show, in my opinion, because not everybody can be Rudolph and draw a strong number.
Yeah. And not only that, Al, if they put you on the show and the show starts drawing, now you're in a great spot.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, you have an opportunity to make yourself.
Right.
Now all of a sudden the numbers are going up. And the numbers are going up directly in correlation to the fact that you're on it.
Yep.
Wow, what a way to stand out.
Yeah.
You know, but go ahead, Jeff. I digress.
Yeah. Yeah, that episode was up 58% from the prior week. And so they were saying it, you know,
there you go.
She was the difference there.
Good for her.
But Alvarez said that many people within AEW agreed that her return should have been on Dynamite, but it wasn't enough to change the mind of Tony Khan. Alvarez says he was told that you could line 200 people outside Tony Khan's door that night, and one by one, all 200 of them could have gone in there and said this idea is stupid. And you know what he would have done at the end of the night? He would have still done it, because that's what happens. People argue things with him every single week, and at the end of the day, he does whatever he wants.
He's the freaking boss. Hello.
And hey, the proof of the pudding's in the taste. If he put her on Rampage that's been suffering viewership, and then it went up 56%. Did he kind of make the right decision?
Yeah.
Because doesn't he want that television product to draw numbers so that they can retain the television product and the income that is derived from it?
Yep.
Yeah, he does. So wouldn't he put talent on that show that he thinks might bump the numbers? And now, wait a minute, hold on. We're complaining about the fact that you put 200 people outside his door and he'd still do what he says, when all we've heard about for months and months and months is that anybody can walk in and change his opinion with just a conversation, and he does what they ask. Which is it?
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me. Now we're upset because Toni Storm was put on Rampage, a lame duck show that she clearly upped the audience by 56%. So on one hand, hey, Tony, you actually made a right decision and you stuck to it and you didn't bend to the influence of the other wrestlers. And then yet the other wrestlers complain because he didn't bend to their influence, that they all complain that everyone exerts over Tony Khan to their detriment. No truer words have been spoken. Yeah. You cannot ever let the inmates to any degree run the asylum. You just can't.
I bet you that Toni Storm was not one of the people that complained. I guarantee you I bet you she went out there and did it because she's breaking in a new character. Let's see how it goes. I bet you she did not have an issue with that at all. And good for her for the numbers going up 58%.
She wouldn't, because TV time is TV time.
Yeah, no, I know. I remember Stevie Richards talks about all the time. He was Mr. Sunday Night Heat. And he embraced it. He loved it. It made him a big deal.
we started doing vignettes that actually started raising the ratings on the show because we were doing angles that we just kind of made up on our own until Stephanie walked in and go, "What are you guys doing?" as we were filming one of the vignettes. And we were like, and that stopped. And then once that stopped, the ratings started to go back down.
Rampage is one of those shows that Tony Khan's been writing since he was 12 years old or whatever the story he tells. This show has now been canceled. That can't sit well with him, I would think. So who knows? Maybe he's trying to do something with it where somebody else would pick it up, or where he can keep it going. I guess we'll see if he continues to do things like this.
It doesn't feel well, anytime you have a show get canceled, because the performance of that show and the ratings and the attendance are a direct indication, regardless of what, everyone now wants to think, if I get a 5-star match, listen, that doesn't mean you're good. Your performance should be evaluated on only 2 criteria. How many people watched it on television? How much of the ratings did you draw? And how many people did you motivate to leave their homes and see you? That's it. You can have the greatest. How many times have we heard this exact statement that, these 2 guys had the greatest match since sliced bread? It was groundbreaking. It was stupendous. It was in a building that seated 5,000 people. They only drew 2,000 people, but they had the most incredible match in the history of wrestling. 2 months later, they run the same building. And instead of drawing 2,000 people, they draw 800, not 3,000, 4,000, or the capacity of 5. They only drew 800 people this time. Now, if the match was what Dave Meltzer said it was, and they were as good as you claim they are, why didn't the numbers go up? Why did they drop? Because if they drop, then clearly the match didn't do its purpose, which was to elicit an emotional response that drove more attendance. That's how this business works. So regardless of Dave's opinion of the performance, the only real modicum of criteria that you can use to judge whether or not it was genuinely a good match is, did it generate more attendance or viewers? And if it didn't, it's not good. That's where I always had a problem with the WrestleMania 3 bullshit. Not because I didn't think, and at the time I thought Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage had an amazing match, and they did. I can't take anything away from it. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be Steamboat and Savage on that card. I want to be Hogan and Andre, because Hogan and Andre are the ones that made whatever number it was, whether it be 78,000 or 93, who cares? It was still a bigger house than anybody had drawn at that time. And you can argue it up and down one side and the other. Because again, keep in mind, guys, oh my God, we got Rudolph. Rudolph's playing. We got to do something.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer did a big number as well.
Can I say something to Al's point? I swear to God, this is a great match. This is the definition of a great, not what Melsa thinks is a great match, but Al, I'll never argue your WrestleMania 3 point. I'll never argue, but I do want to say this, Al, because this is pertinent to what you're saying as far as a great match. Al, Steamboat, Savage, okay? Al, I'm in my 20s. I'm probably 26 years old. Al, after that match, they went on the loop, and Savage and Steamboat were in a steel cage.
Yeah.
I remember in my 20s, I had to go to the Nassau Coliseum. I bought a ticket based on that really being a great match. So, like you said, bro, if somebody really, honestly, truly is having a great match, there's going to be more people the next time they're bringing that match back, without a shadow of a doubt.
Because that's the purpose of the match. The match doesn't serve any other purpose than to motivate more of an audience. But again, you had this ground-shaking industry revolutionizing match, according to opinions. And yet the next time that the promoter ran that town, 800 people showed up. And then we get, well, you know, Rudolph drew a great number, you know,
right.
You know, look, obviously the match didn't do what it was supposed to do. I'm not taking away from the fact that it was good, but was it as good as you said it was? Because if it was, it would have generated more of an audience.
Right.
And that really, sadly, is what everyone nowadays as performers have lost, is that match that they're going to go out there and do only serves one purpose. That's, can we motivate more people to want to watch next time? On Raw, on SmackDown, on NXT, on Rampage, Collision, you put the platform. I'm sending you to the ring for one reason alone, and that is, can you generate more of an audience next week? More people to show up at the building to see the TV tapings, more people to tune in to watch you. Because here's how it works. You walk out of that curtain. I don't care that Rudolph is drawing a great number that same night. Here it comes. Here's your job. This is your single existence in wrestling. Your job is to walk out through that curtain and be something, anything, somebody that now prevents somebody from going, oh, who's that? Click, and turning the channel. Because once they turn the channel, not only are they not going to watch what you're going to do, now they're not going to watch anybody else on the show. So now I'm relying on you to retain some kind of audience, and as they're flipping through the channels, to gain an audience through your actions. I don't care what you do. I don't care how much you do. I don't care if you set your asshole on fire. Make people watch you. Now, once the match starts, you need to keep that audience or get more. Otherwise, click, we're done. When you have a 2-segment match, that means you got to do something that's big enough to capture that audience to where their attention is to motivate them to not turn the channel during the break. Now, with the overall match, what did you do to make them want to tune in next week to see you again? Because if you didn't, it's a waste of time and money and effort. Now, once they tuned in next week, what are you going to do to retain that audience and build it and motivate them so that when you come to their town, they're going to leave the safety, security, and comfort of their home and drive to a building and buy a ticket to sit in seats they don't want to sit in, around people they don't want to sit around, to watch you. Because that's why I'm putting you on TV. I'm not putting you on TV so that you can get a wonderful review from a newsletter writer. I'm putting you on TV to drive income so that I can keep the lights on, the doors open, and we can all make some money.